Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and I know that you've been enjoying hearing stories that were about my photo shoots and what went on behind the scenes with some of these very famous people that I photographed. But today I want to tell you more about a story that is very close to me, a story about my father, Harry Langdon, who is my namesake, and he was considered a superstar of the 1920s, and he was just really a rock star. And so since I inherited all of this wonderful memorabilia, which was a real treasure to me, I thought, gee, wouldn't it be wonderful to collect it all and perhaps do a book? And it was a coincidence that I was contacted by my co-authors, Brian Anthony and Bill Walker, and we got together and we decided to publish a book. And so it was a very fortunate coincidence, and this is a result of it. To begin with, I'd like to show you some pictures of me as a child with my father that were taken in Australia. And it's really a charming picture of me and my father, and I'm trying to push him on the swing. We were in Australia at that time, and he was doing a show called Anything Goes. So that's me pushing my father in the swing. There's another lovely picture of my mother and father. It's also taken about the same time in Australia, and here we're just goofing around. And so I thought that would be another beautiful memory that I'd like to share with you. And you know, we're originally, when we started this book, was called the Scrapbook, a scrapbook of photographs, by the way. And so Brian and Bill and I were collaborating. We thought we'd have to come up with a subtitle for the book. And so they said, is there any statement that your father may have made when you were with him that you might jog your memory? And I thought, yeah, you know, we were on the set of a movie that he was making called Zenobia. Zenobia was a period piece supposedly taken in the 20s, and everybody had great makeup on. Here's again the shot of my father from Zenobia. And so we were on the set, and you know, I was awestruck. I was about 7 years old by this big set, and you know, all the people in costume, and one of the stagehands came over and handed me a handful of nails. He was a stagehand, and they carried the nails and hammers around with them. And so he thought, well, I'll give this little boy a souvenir of being on the set. And so he handed me this batch of nails. So I put them in my pocket. Then when my dad and I left the set, and we got on a one-horse little carriage buggy, and I looked up at him and I said, by the way, Dad, what were these nails for? And he said, well, you know, those are called double-headed nails, and they're made so that the stagehands can dismantle the set when the movie is over. And then he said to me, you know, nothing on a stage is permanent. And so they build a set and then they tear it down. So nothing, and I thought, well, that would be a great subtitle for this book. Hence the title, Nothing on a Stage is Permanent. Well, my dad began acting when he joined a vaudeville act in a neighborhood theater. You know, he ran away from home when he was 16. His parents were very dismayed, but he was driven to be an actor, especially on stage. So he did stage performing for quite a few years until he had his own vaudeville act. Now, he had a team of other members of the act, and now he did this vaudeville act. It was called Johnny's New Car. And Johnny's New Car was extremely successful play. And so he was contacted again by a movie company who is run by Saul Lesser. And Saul Lesser was a movie producer. And Saul heard about this man's act, my father's act, and decided to do a test film for him And so the test film was very successful. And then another producer named Max Sennett decided to have my father appear in some of his short films. And my father went on to do 50 films for Max Sennett. It was quite a successful beginning of my father's acting career. My father was so multi-talented. He was not just an actor, but he also wrote his own movies and directed many of his movies. And he also, though, worked with some comrades that were writers. One of them was Frank Capra here, who went on to do his own movies. One was called A Wonderful Life, and there was It Happened One Night. And Frank Capra was launched by my father, as well as my Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy, capitalized on my father's ideas and his jokes. And my father wrote a great many of the skits and the gags for Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. My father's career spanned a period of 40 years, and he made wonderful movies produced by himself and with other producers. And so he would have, if he hadn't have passed at such a young age of 61, he could have gone on to do many, many more movies. And so he was so well respected in Hollywood that they decided to give him one of the first stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I've got a shot that I did with it, right? And the star was placed right in front of the Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. And if you ever go down Hollywood Boulevard, you may want to see it right there in front, and it's still there. In fact, the Chamber of Commerce gave me this star, which is a souvenir of having a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So my father was that famous that he had the honor of being one of the first stars to have a implant in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So my father has such a wonderful career, and it's encapsulated in this book. And it's a wonderful insight into Hollywood in its heyday and even up till today. And it was published by a wonderful publisher called BearManor Media. And they did this extremely colorful and in-depth printing technique that you will really love, and it would make a great gift for you to give some of your friends or even for yourself on your coffee table. And so we've put a link at the bottom of this piece, and you can click on it and you can find out more about getting this book, and you'll really treasure it when you get it. It's a wonderful, entertaining book, and it will really make you smile from beginning to end.